Fred Kai, who's joining us live from County 001 with a brief on what we can expect from that region today. Kai.
Shukran sana Sam, na kama ulivyosema na kujia moja kwa moja kutoka County 001, na hii leo basi zile habari ambazo tunaweza kufuatilia, matukio ambayo tunaweza kufuatilia ni kwamba tukio la kwanza ni kwamba shirika basi la kimataifa la maritime basi hii leo litaweza kuwa na mkutano ama mafunzo kuhusu ni vipi basi wataweza kudhibiti kuhusu uchafuzi wa mazingira hususan baharini ambapo yanaweza kuchafuliwa na meli. Na katika shirika hili bali limeweza kuleta mbalimbali nchi tofauti ikiwemo nchi ya Tanzania, nchi ya Uganda pamoja na nchi ya Angola na nyinginezo kutoka Afrika. Na tumeweza kuona kwamba shirika hili basi litaweza kuweza kuongea na washikadau mbalimbali hususan masuala ya mazingira, tukiona kwamba pia meli vile hushiriki pakubwa katika uchafuzi wa mazingira, ilhali vile huweza kumwaga pengine mafuta katika bahari Hindi ama bahari zingine kote nchini, na hivyo basi husababisha pengine maafa katika viumbe wa bahari iwapo basi swala kama haya hataweza kukabidhiwa vilivyo. Na habari zingine ambazo tunaweza kufuatilia ni kwamba leo basi ikiwa siku ya kwanza ya kuweza kuona kwamba ule watahiniwa wa grade 3 kwenda grade 4 wanaweza kutahiniwa ile mtaala ule mpya wa CBC, na tutaweza kufuatilia tuone iwapo basi mtihani huu utaendelea vipi, na iwapo basi kila mwanafunzi atakuwa anaweza kuweza kunakili kile alichofunzwa na mwalimu wake. Na vile vile Lazarus ataweza kufuatilia swala zima lile. Tuliweza kuona kwamba pale jana wafanyikazi katika shirika la EPZ maeneo ya Changamwe basi waliweza kugoma kwa tuhuma za kwamba utendakazi wao ni duni, pia vile vile malipo yao ni duni. Hivyo basi walikuwa wamegoma ili kuona kwamba basi waweze kupata kulipwa vizuri na pia vile vile kazi iweze kuimarishwa. Hizo tu ni baadhi za matukio ambayo tutaweza kufuatilia na kuweza kuwajuza wa Kenya ni yapi yanajiri kutoka County 001. Kutoka hapa na kuregesha kwako studio Sam.
Thank you so much, Fred Kai, for that update live from Mombasa County. And he tells us that we'll have a stakeholders forum with stakeholders drawn from the maritime sector. And just last week, they had a similar meeting and they were looking into the minimum wage for seafarers in the country. So definitely we'll see what will be coming forth in as far as this forum is concerned today. Kai will also be monitoring on the ongoing assessment on CBC for both the learners and the system as it is so far, and expect a brief from that. Right now, let's take you to yet another live event that is happening right here in Nairobi, the Intercontinental Hotel. Let's cross over to this venue and listen into what's happening.
Census on the historical injustices and marginalization of various communities across the country. The Constitution endorsed a system of 47 devolved governments, which assumed a bulk of hitherto central government responsibilities and obligations. These creatures took effect after the 2013 general elections, as we all remember. And 6 years down the line, the counties are experiencing a second term after the 2017 elections. No in-depth survey has been undertaken to ascertain the impact of devolution on the lives of Kenyans. Has it delivered on its promise to transform the lives of people, improve the general quality of life for the majority? And if it hasn't, what could be the impeding factors that need to be resolved? We at All Africa Advisors would like to take stock and celebrate laudable achievements of all the 47 counties by way of informing and reorienting the government, development partners, international stakeholders, and as well as Kenyans in general. A bit of an introduction about ourselves. All Africa Advisors is a London-based firm, multidisciplinary in nature. We specialize in commercial and developmental projects across Africa. We are dedicated to enhancing the economic success of the African continent by bringing together multiple stakeholders from the private and the public sectors, and from both within and outside of Africa. We've conducted projects in nearly every country across the continent, covering diverse requirements. And we established our firm with a mission statement of providing unrivaled insights and the highest standards of analysis on African matters. We are very pleased to be here today to present this output from our recent research that we carried out between June and August this year. A little bit about the survey. We've conducted a study involving reviewing the impact of devolution in Kenya with the support of relevant stakeholders, with a view of collecting data from public records, but also verifying the existence of the projects and their impact on the lives of Mwananchi, as assessed by the constituents and by citizens across the country. We've aimed at measuring the various interventions since devolution took a start, mainly those aimed at rolling back poverty and fostering prosperity. And we are very pleased to be presenting here select results from an all-encompassing study, including some ranking on some counties and county government performance on the qualitative perception of their effectiveness across the country. I would like to highlight that this is just a snapshot in time. We expect to revisit the study at periodic intervals to assess how counties have progressed or regressed from this point in time. In terms of the methodology of our study, we covered 3 different facets. The first was a self-assessment questionnaire modeled on the EU and the NEPAD assessment tools, a field verification, an investigative study, and a public opinion poll on county performance across a whole range of indicators. I will now like to pass the baton to my colleague Julian to take through a summary of our findings.
Thank you, Stephen, for that detailed introduction. Good morning, Mabibi na Mabwana. It is my great pleasure to unveil the findings promised to you by Stephen, a selection of the findings from our much more detailed study, some of which I think you will find of interest at the national level. And they may be summarised thus. The nation is divided on the question of whether devolution has been a success or not. And this may well be because county government performance varies widely across the country, as we'll see with some of the detailed data sets a little later. And finally, we are today revealing the rankings of the strongest performing governors and the weakest performing governors according to our survey. So let us start with the simple question, has devolution been a success? As I suggested in my opening remarks, this question divides the nation. According to our survey, the country is split down the middle, with 49% of overall respondents taking the view that it has not been a success, compared to a bare majority, 51%, who believe that it has been successful, an even narrower majority than that which we enjoyed for leaving the European Union in the United Kingdom. There is a slide contained in the press pack which will be shared with you after this presentation, which gives into a bit more detail about respondents' views on the success of devolution, breaking it down by gender and by age group. I would just highlight a couple of points from that data. The first is that amongst men, overall, a majority, 54%, believe that constitutional reform has been successful, while 52% of women say it's not been a success. But this gender imbalance reverses in the over 50s. In this category, a striking 56.64% of women see the reform as unsuccessful, while a similar percentage of men believe it has been a success. And it's not quite clear what drives this disparity. There could be a range of causes relating to higher needs by older women on service provision by local governments as compared to men. And we hope that subsequent phases of our study may shed more light on this finding and others like it. This is a visual breakdown of that switch, as you can see in the bar charts to the right of the screen. And now for the moment, which I'm sure many of you have been waiting for. I feel rather like I'm awarding the Oscars here. Who are perceived to be the top performing governors? And this is based on national responses. So a collation of all the data, all the responses from all of those people interviewed across the nation, and it's based on a net figure. Those who approve, believe that the particular governors are performing successfully, net of those who take the opposite view. And the result, amongst respondents from across the country, is that Governor Alfred Mutua of Machakos County was rated highest. Behind him is Wycliffe Oparanya of Kakamega, who achieves the second spot amongst Kenyans as a whole. And he is then followed by Mike Sonko of Nairobi, Kivuta Kibwana of Makueni, and Ali Hassan Joho of Mombasa. As the chart shows, there is then a marked drop-off in national approval ratings for the rest of the governors. I'll end with a national scorecard on the governors overall, which highlights the second point I made in my opening remarks, that the view of effectiveness of governors and local governments is very different in different parts of the country. We can see there, ranked from 1 to 47, each of the governors, with a very, very sharp difference in the net ratings that they achieve. And I'm sure that our study will provide lessons to be learned by those who, unfortunately, are lingering in the bottom half of that chart. I'll pass back for final comments to Stephen. Thank you. Asante.
Thank you very much, Julian, for that. I think it's certainly vital to really focus on what we've learned and what we think drives the performance level and the ranking based on the perception across the country. There are 6 really key areas that the people we've spoken to since June to August have told us about essentially what they prioritize as their expectations from their county governments. Infrastructure development across the country is certainly the highest priority. And those counties that have delivered consistently on infrastructure have been rated extremely highly. The second area is public participation. Town halls and participation opportunities to identify the key priority projects, not just at the general county level, but drill down to the ward level. Analysis of how the delivery and sustainability initiatives are delivered. So it's not just the delivery of the infrastructure, but how you sustain the continued delivery, the continued training of the resource pool that are going to ensure that that infrastructure is exploited to the best plan. Women particularly feel disengaged, is the feedback we had. And this in particular must be brought to dialogue to shape how services that affect them are delivered. The third area is efforts towards poverty eradication and economic growth. And counties that are seen to be actively attracting investment into their counties fared very well in the study. Basic service provision, water, electricity, and health, and food security, as well as education. The intervention in these areas by counties ranked them extremely highly. And the penultimate was the ability to self-generate revenue and de-risk from the reliance, both in terms of the quantum of funds availed, as well as the timing of those funds reaching county governments. And the more that counties are able to generate and collect revenue at the local level, gives them a huge advantage over others on how they can actually deliver on the services. And finally, there was a marked difference between the perception of governors who have traits and characters that are of a leader, not just at the county level, but at a national level. Not least in managing the political concerns between the assembly and the executive arms of the counties. So with those comments, I would like to wrap up. Thank you very much. I think there's some key lessons there, and as we have said, and would like to reiterate, this is an analysis at a point in time. We would be really pleased to come back in a year's time, probably shorter, and do another study and announce how have these progressed, who have improved in terms of ranking, as we raise the bar to performance, as we raise the bar as a country towards delivering to the citizens. We as a firm would be very keen to work with county governments. We have worked with other governments across the continent, and we have the right blend of skills, we believe, to make a difference. We have quite a lot of data that we have collected in the process of this study, and we'll be very happy to share our insights with counties that feel that that insight will be helpful to them as they deliver on the promise of devolution. Thank you very much all, and thank you for joining us today. I will hand over back to the MC. Thank you very much.
So All Africa advisors this morning were launching a report on the best and worst performing governors, as well as whether or not counties are working for the nation. And the top 5 performing governors in as far as their survey is concerned, which by the way was conducted over a period of 3 months, is that Governor Alfred Mutua, Machakos County, is the best performing governor, followed by Kakameg's Wycliffe Oparanya, and coming in third is Nairobi County Governor, that is Mike Mbuvi Sonko. Number 4 is Mombasa County Governor Ali Hassan Joho, and number 5 is Makueni County Governor, that is Kivutha Kibwana. That is the status that has been given by this particular group, and it sort of deviates a bit from a similar report that we got from the World Bank under the Kenya Devolution Support Program that actually ranked Governor Francis Kimemia Nyandarua County as the best performing governor. So in the course of this show, in the course of our subsequent bulletins, we shall be breaking down these results for you so that we are in a position to understand some of the issues that informed this survey and how exactly they were in a position to arrive at this conclusion. However, right now, let's take you to Chiromo Mortuary. And today we're expecting the post-mortem on the body of the late Dutch tycoon, that is Tob Cohen. And right there we have Sarah Wairimo Kamotho's lawyer, that is Philip Murgo. Remember, yesterday in court he requested that he be present, representing, of course, Sarah Kamotho during this particular procedure, that is the post-mortem. So one of the key stories that we are following up for you right here at K24 TV in as far as our news diary is concerned, he is to be buried at a date that will be communicated later, but as per his wishes that were communicated by former Gatundu North Member of Parliament, that is Patrick Moirori, he did say that his best friend, that is the fallen Dutch tycoon, wished to be buried within 48 hours after his death. So we will get more from this side, even as we await for the post-mortem results. An independent pathologist representing the family is expected anytime from now at Chiromo Mortuary, and we will keep just giving you more and more details in as far as this story is concerned. Lennox Sengre, as we speak, is on location, and he'll be giving us more information in as far as that is concerned. We'd like to take you back to the devolution assessment on the best and worst performing governors, and let's listen into what's more we are getting, or what more we are getting from that venue.
Yeah. Then you should be able to ask voters, you've been given 20 billion. Have you used it all? Or that's one of the problem.
Thank you for that clarification. I think I'd reiterate what my colleague said, that this was about a qualitative survey of perceptions. So in that sense, we weren't asking what is your perception based on whether or not the full allocation of funds has been made. We would work on the assumption that if there were at the macro level concerns about the efficacy of devolution from central government, that would have been taken into account by the respondents, because we were asking them for their qualitative perceptions.
My name is Mary from KTN. I would like to know, during the course of your survey, what are some of the challenges? Because you say it was a three-pronged approach, whereby you had counties we went through and conducted a poll and that other method. So what are some of the challenges that the counties say they are going through? Because every financial year we have a back and forth between county governments and national treasury about financing and funding for the counties. And another thing, there's been argument that some counties need to build capacity before some of these devolved functions that have been, developed before they can take them up fully. So what do you have to say regarding that?
I'm going to pass over to Stephen on that one.
Thank you very much. I mean, it's a really valid point. Yes, in response to your question, the challenges are there, and I think above all, and this slide, I think the last slide that we had about what actually drives success is one. If you sort of look at the point about ability to self-generate revenue, it is the other side of the biggest issue, which is access to funding. And I talked about both the timing as well as the quantum of funding. So a lot of counties are constrained. And therefore, a lot of the delivery is pegged on their ability to deliver. Human resources capacity varies greatly across the country. There are various factors that drives that gap. Some of it is actually the inability of some of the counties, just by a mere fact of where they are positioned geographically, and that they just don't have a pool of talent available. If you sort of look at some of those top performers, it does happen to be the case that some of them are in large cities. And therefore, it just becomes a bit easier for them to access pool of talent. And that is both as for the executive management and as well as the staff that go towards delivering services that have been outsourced from the county governments. Remind me again, what is the second question?
I was asking about the capacity of these counties to take on some devolved functions. Like, for example, health, there's been an argument over and over again that counties are not...
4 minutes to the top of the hour. That is what we have for you as of now. All Africa advisors currently in our Q&A session with the media. They're responding to various questions that are being posed by members of the Fourth Estate. And as far as the report they just launched is concerned, it's all about the best and worst performing governors, as well as whether or not devolution is working for Kenya so far. And also we had them mention constitutional reform, and they actually alluded to around 57% of Kenyans believe that constitutional reform is working for them this far, of course informed by an audit on the implementation